Hey, welcome everyone to Experience Milwaukee, another podcast episode. This is Steve Glenn, and Tia is back with us.
Yeah.
I'm super excited because we had you on. We're in our secret location last time. We're back at Transfer Pizzeria Cafe Studios, or studio. I don't know. I guess you could make a lot of studios back here, but so if you hear noises, it is the restaurant functioning as a restaurant with a podcast happening by chance. Last time we were in a secret office building and it was much quieter. No, there was music.
Yes.
There was
like
holiday
a church
music,
choir in the back.
church choir, all of that. So you went on an adventure. So, well, I think I'm getting way ahead of everyone and our listeners because we might have to give a little bit of the backstory, not a lot, but the high level. You know, you're here 4 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
From Iowa.
Yep.
And you come on the show once a month and you talk about that, your experiences with Milwaukee from that perspective.
Yeah. So this is actually my first month giving the experience. We did a podcast in December where it gave my background information. And so if you want to hear more about me and what brought me to Milwaukee and my Instagram, Iowa Girl Adventures, go back to that podcast in December, Iowa Girl Adventures, take a listen to it, and then you can come back to this podcast.
Yeah, I think it's like show 757,000 or something like that, some easy number.
Yeah.
But yes, easy to find on the playlist, regardless of what platform you listen. And so, yeah, so you're here every month from that perspective, sharing with us from your view, which is awesome because I think it's completely unique to some of the past guests we've had who have been here forever.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And some of the things you may do for the very first time.
Yeah, there's actually, even though I've been here for 4 years, there's actually a lot in Milwaukee that I haven't done. So this is actually very, very exciting for myself as well because I get to see the city that I live in a different view and go to those places that people who've lived here forever have done.
And they take for granted.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. So everyone, I mean, we left them in suspense, I think, last time.
I think so, too.
We didn't tell them where you were going. So where did you go?
I went to the Harley-Davidson Museum and Motor, the restaurant that's attached to the Harley Museum.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's both unbelievable places
Yes.
in their own way. I mean, I lean toward the food and drinks at Motor and the fam we love the museum as well, but the restaurant's amazing. So it doesn't sound like, all right, great, you went to the museum, but you really experienced it.
Yes, I had a full all-around experience, and I should give a little background. I grew up going to museums, and when we went on family vacations, my dad is big into museums, so we always went to a museum. So for me to not have gone to a museum in my own city for 4 years is a little bit absurd. So I was really excited to go, and just so everyone knows, I feel like Harley-Davidson as a whole is such a great American brand that you don't need to like motorcycles to be able to go and have a really awesome visit.
And appreciate everything about
Exactly.
it, right?
And not only is it an American brand, it's a Milwaukee brand. So
Sure is.
That's really exciting. And just seeing all of the history that they had there that involves Milwaukee so much really made me appreciate things a little bit more and appreciate living here.
And you're so thorough about it. You even have notes on your phone.
I have notes.
Yes, which is awesome. You're the most prepared guest. You get the award for the most prepared guest. By the way.
Oh, thank you.
All these
thank
other
you.
guests, they come show up and they expect me to buy them like 4 beers.
Well, I'm a little type A.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. That fits perfectly here. So what happened? How'd it go?
So it went awesome. It went really great. I actually went at the very tail end of December, and I actually went twice. The PR person, Tim McCormick, he contacted me and asked me if I wanted to come back because he saw my Instagram post, or somebody from Harley saw my Instagram post, seeing that
The teaser?
that I was
And they knew where
in
it
the
was.
backyard of Harley-Davidson when I took that photo, and reached out to me to see if I wanted to come back and see a little bit more. So I went twice, and it's really something that I don't think I can fully describe how great it was. You pretty much have to spend an entire day there to see everything. And to go back twice was really awesome because I got to see even more than I did the first time, spending an entire day there the first time around.
And kudos to their team. I mean, Tim, I know Tim, he's great. And it's, a natural thing for him to see this, an opportunity to reach out to someone who, like you, who is as enthusiastic on Instagram as you are, and say, hey, come back and we'll show you some other things about maybe you missed, or maybe most people don't get to see at the museum.
And
so
that was really, really cool that they reached out to me. And going back, I went during Museum Week. And so they had special Milwaukee tours that I got to go on that told even more of a history of the Milwaukee-based business as well. So that was really cool too. But basically, Harley-Davidson was founded by 4 young 20-year-old guys, and they sold their first bike in 1903. So that's why on the building it has 1903 on the outside. And the first room that you go into is their beginnings, and just seeing where they start out. They have some of the very first bikes there, which is very, very cool. And it really shows a lot about where that went in Milwaukee and how things grew from there. So some of the photos that they took of original advertising was at Bradford Beach. And I took some photos of the photos.
Right.
So I'll be putting all this up on my story and everything once the podcast comes out. So be looking for that, because I did take a lot of photos. It's really interesting how their origin is in this city. So
deeply rooted.
Very.
Yeah, in every way.
Yeah, and outside of the museum, they have a shed. It's not the very first shed, and it's not the location where it's at isn't the very first location where it was, but they built everything out of this, like, I don't know exactly the dimensions, but it's like a very small,
not very large,
12.
Right?
Have you seen the shed that they have out there?
I think I have, because I've been through, and it's...
Yeah, that's where they built their first motorcycle, which is just crazy that such a big industry came from this little tiny little shed that was located in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and they changed, so much about the feelings that people have of the brand, freedom and exploration and open road. It's crazy to think that that's happened here. And and like we talked about in the beginning of the show, people who are from here take it for granted, and you're seeing it with fresh eyes.
Yeah, and it's something that I didn't grow up around motorcycles. I had never been on a Harley until I went to the museum.
Oh, did you get on?
Yeah,
okay.
They have Harleys that you can get on and take pictures. So I'll post that too. But so that was my first time ever on a Harley. I didn't get to ride it, unfortunately. Maybe someday I will. But
have riding classes all over.
They said that they could teach me, so I might take them up on that sometime. But they just had all sorts of awesome old bikes, some of the original bikes, and then they had which I think was, besides learning about the history, they had this other room that had bikes that have been associated with movies.
Okay.
So I am a big movie buff, and so seeing bikes that have been in like Captain America and Terminator and things like that is really, really cool for me. And it put things in a different perspective for me, and because I really, really like films, so that was very cool.
Right. And I think, it's awesome that you had this experience in December. Imagine how much it's even better, I think, in the summer when everything's open, and I think some of the things, I know some of the things even happen outside on the grounds, so it kind of expands out, and it's just a beautiful area of the city, right on the river to experience that.
And I have been around the grounds in the summertime because I do a lot of running. So I'll run past there quite frequently. And it is also a great place for pictures. Anybody who is an Instagram photographer out there, they have a really nice trail back that goes back behind Hurley. So it's right up against the river.
Cool. So you're browsing the notes.
I'm browsing the notes to make sure that I am not missing anything.
How long were you in there? Few hours?
But the first time I went, it was probably 4 hours or so that I was there.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And then I ate at Motor.
Does that include eating time?
No.
Okay.
I spent about 4 hours in the museum, probably because I like to read every little thing.
Right.
And
you obviously went without any kids.
That is true. No kids
because
here.
my experience was really different. Kids dragging you through.
Yeah, and I have just really been able. I have this background where I really enjoy museums in the first place. So I think that's part of why I could spend so long there.
Yeah.
And then when I went back, I probably spent a couple hours there. And when I went back with Tim McCormick, they actually took me up behind the scenes where they have like motorcycles stacked on these big like conveyors where they can bring them down. So there's motorcycles from like all different eras, and they have like packaging from like 1912 and like pieces that I asked the mechanic that was working up there. I said, do you actually use those on bikes? And he showed me like a button that was from the early 1900s that they had on one of the motorcycles. That they're still using those parts, which is also really, really cool that they even have that kind of stuff. So that tour that I went on, that took me behind the scenes, they actually have that open to the public too, and that's Wednesdays and Fridays that it is open.
So you can, because I know like the Milwaukee Public Museum, like all the museums, they all have their secret areas that the public does not regularly get to visit. Yeah. And you see all of those oddities, like, and learn about the things that either maybe happened back then and they still do today, or just the things they don't put on display because maybe they're not museum perfect. Right. But so that was cool that you not only got to see that, but that they do that regularly for the public as well.
Yeah, I think they cycle through some of the motorcycles that they had up in that area. So it's on like the third or fourth floor. You take an elevator up, and I went there the first time around when I went there in December, and it's all gated, and you can see through. You can go in there and look through the gates and see it. Yeah, no, I didn't try to break in or anything, but you can go up there and see through the gates and see everything. But I was able to actually go up in there and talk to a gentleman who was working on one of the bikes at that moment. So that was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got 2-for-1 visit.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And then a guided tour is always awesome.
Yes, yeah. The guided tour was really cool. Learning the history of how everything's been incorporated and everything's been made in Milwaukee. It's such a huge legacy. You know, these 4 guys who founded Harley-Davidson would probably never thought that this would happen. Right. You know, it's known around the world.
Mm-hmm. And another cool thing about that area is the amount of events and number of events and types of events they have there in various spaces on the grounds. Like, I've been there for business events, for social weddings. I mean, it's really cool.
Yeah, I have yet to do something like that at Harley, but I've definitely been on the outside, running past and things like that. And I had actually been to Motor previously for dinner another night before I went there on the experience. So I knew it was good food. It was fantastic. Get the mac and cheese.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that what you got?
Ribs, mac and cheese, nachos. The time before that I went, I think I had cheese curds, and they were delicious.
That's a lot of food for one person.
Yeah. Well, I took someone with me.
I'm kidding. Yeah. Give me double nachos and
Yes,
double ribs.
everything.
Yeah. So, any wild crafty cocktails there or anything? Or
I
just
stuck
did
with
you just
beer
go
when
with
I was there.
beer and
Yeah.
food? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah,
It's perfect.
exactly.
And it's like you walk across the street and there you are.
Exactly.
So all in all, was it like 6 hours? And was it on a weekend?
It was on a Saturday. I probably spent around 5 hours there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good day.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
a
then
really
going
good
back
day.
2 hours. So,
Okay.
But I feel like I could still go back and see things that I didn't see
That's
before.
the cool thing about it. All the
Yeah.
museums, actually. And I think you mentioned you went during Museum Week the second time. So,
Mhm.
I mean, that's really, I think, the experience you get with all of the museums. You can spend a great deal of time there and come back over and over again and see something new.
Yeah.
Which is, we're very lucky to have those elements in our city.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
So, cool. And do we talk about the next adventure?
We can.
What hints might we get? What do you want to do? This is kind of like
Oh,
the
wow.
Tia show now. So I notice I
So
have
much
these.
pressure.
No, I have these. I have these regular guests, and it becomes their show. It's a cool process. So
thank you.
Anyway, how do you want to tee it up? I don't know how much you want to reveal, so that's why I'm like not giving anything away either.
Let's keep it a secret for a while. I think.
And they can, if one wants to find out, they can follow your Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. Follow my Instagram, Iowa Girl Adventures.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. It's a great account.
Oh, thank you.
Cool. So, anything else, Harley? I mean, that sounds like quite a day. I mean,
Well, I could probably talk for hours and hours, but I think that anyone listening should check it out for themselves.
They have to,
Yeah.
yeah. If you haven't, and whether they live here or whether they're coming for a weekend,
Yeah.
dedicate a few hours and get some good food and some good motorcycle history, brand history. It's got everything there,
Milwaukee
really.
history.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on, and we'll I guess we'll find out more on Instagram.
Yeah, check out my Instagram. I'm going to be posting all sorts of pictures over the next week or so from my adventure at Harley-Davidson Museum.
Awesome. Thanks, Tia.
Thank you.